Hey everybody, Dude here. Well, it is Father's Day, and let me ask you this. Have you been the perfect father? Have you been the perfect mother? Have you ever lost your temper as a parent? Have you ever learned a valuable lesson from one of your children? Um, I know I have. And as I sit here reflecting on my front porch in 100-degree heat, I want to share a couple of little lessons that I learned along the way in the last 30 years. That's right, everybody. It's a little Sunday edition of Story Time with Dude, or something like that. All right. So, my life changed the first day. It was 1996 when my daughter Taylor was born. She came out. She didn't look like she belonged to me. I had blonde hair when I was younger. I got white hair as I'm older. She came out with like black hair. Obviously I'm as white as can be. She came out like red. The nurses thought she was like, are you the dad? Like they thought maybe, I don't know. It was funny. But I remember when she was born, it changed me. Everything changed in an instant. And it's weird how, I call it God probably, but in that little chamber in your heart, you think you got no more left to give, right? And that child is born, and boom, it's like magically a brand new piece of your heart is born, and you just have instant love. I had 5 opportunities to feel that. And then I've had 2 son-in-laws where I felt it. And I have 2 grandkids now where I feel it. And it's amazing how no matter what happens, no matter what life throws at you, those life-changing moments, and boom, you've got more love. And so I want to share a couple stories. When Taylor was born, things changed. Thank you, Taylor, for that. Taylor is one of my very best friends, and we've shared the love of Disney. I think Lauren, my middle daughter, loves Disney now more than Taylor. But after high school, Taylor went and did the Disney College program where she lived in Florida and worked at Disney World, and she had a little YouTube channel called Tea Party, and chronicled her adventures there. And we talked every single day on the phone. It was great, and we got really, really close. Now she's married and has brought me one of my first grandkids, Sarah, my second child. Sarah and I have great conversations all the time. Sarah loves having deep thoughts, deep talks. And the other day, we were talking, and it reminded me of something that happened, and we kind of revisited the story. So the story is this: back when Sarah was like 2 years old, I was much, much younger, probably much more high stressed at my job and different things. We had 2 kids at the time, I believe. They're both toddlers running around, and life gets stressful. And sometimes kids annoy you. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is, being a parent, right? Sometimes you love them, and sometimes, I don't know, whatever it is they do, life, it's not always easy, right? And sometimes it's easy to lose our crap, right? So this one day, I remember in the Winnie the Pooh room in the house, we had this cute little Winnie the Pooh room. I don't even know why, I was mad at Sarah, and I got mad, and I yelled at her, and she looked up at me, and she just had this she had this just fearful look on her face, and she kind of shook a little bit, and I looked down at her, and my heart sank. I felt like garbage. Here I was a grown man yelling at a toddler for whatever they did, and that moment changed me, And before you get too judgy, it was more of speaking in a loud voice. It wasn't, physical abuse or something like that. So settle down, internet. But it was a moment that changed me. And I remember years later, probably about 10 years later, and we had like 4 to 5 kids. And we used to have these things, we called them family meetings on Saturday. And the kids joke about it now because, the main point of the family meetings was to say, okay, Taylor, you're going to do the dishes, and Sarah, you're going to sweep the floors, and Dallin, you're going to take out the trash. And it was to assign everybody a chore, kind of coordinate for the day, and they could earn their Costco hot dog and drink. We'd always take them out for a reward, a Slurpee or a Costco hot dog, something cheap, because we were poor. And I remember one I was going through kind of a self-development thing, and I was trying to work on some goals and better myself. And I said, what is something that most men don't do? And there's a lot of men that don't apologize. There's a lot of men, even parents, we could say women in here too, but a lot of parents aren't self-aware. They don't admit their flaws and their mistakes. So on this one particular Saturday, we had a family meeting, and I remember apologizing to all my kids, kind of in that little public meeting setting, and saying, if I've ever raised my voice at you, if I've ever said something that hurt your feelings, or if I've ever behaved in any kind of way that made you look at me less as your father, I apologize, because that's not the man I want to be. And I remember it was, tears were shed, hugs were given, and I remember Dallin jumped up and gave me a big old hug, and he was bawling his eyes out, and I was like thinking, like, I don't really know why, except for maybe he just felt that love, right? That connection. Years later, found out that at that time in his life, he was going through some hard things, and I didn't know what was going on. But I think me being humble and me being the right kind of father at the right time was a big deal for him in that moment. And I've been able to talk about Sarah about that one incident, and I've had little things like that throughout the years with all my kids. Not always me being mean, but I mean tender moments, right? Special times. And Lauren, she shares a love at Disney. She brought me our first grandkid, and Taylor followed up 3 months later with the second. And it's such a joy. Lauren is always the one I can count on taking a phone call, or she FaceTimes us all the time and shows us the baby. And, he just gets on there and smiles. He's almost one now, so he's a lot more animated, and he's starting to push the little, whatever, the little walker thing. He's walking across the living room. It won't be long before he's taking off walking. And Dallin and I had special, lots of father and son moments. And Jacob, from fishing when they were younger to like Boy Scout type campouts and things we've been on, and a lot of things. I remember Jake was the youngest, playing video games. He introduced me to Roblox. There was this game. It was called Murder Mystery. That's the only one I ever liked. And you'd walk around this ship in your little Lego Roblox guy and trying to, whack each other. It was fun. We'd sit there and play Roblox together when he was young. And then they ruined the game, and they never brought it back, and it was like, I'm out of here. But from Jake's gaming to Dallin in sports, and Lauren and Taylor's love at Disney, and Sarah's dance. She's a dancer. She's an amazing dancer. Still is today. She dances professionally, gets paid, puts on performances. We still go try and see her every time we can, because she has got it. Something about her you can't not watch her. So, to my 5 kids, I've not been a perfect dad. I don't think anybody's perfect. I've had times where I've yelled or gotten mad, just like most families I've ever known. But I hope you've always felt protected. I hope you've always felt loved. I hope you've always felt special, that you have a special place in my heart, because you do. And to my 2 son-in-laws, I love them, and I'm thankful for the men that they are, and for the protection and care that they're taking with my daughters, and with my 2 grandsons now. And to my 2 grandsons who, can't talk yet, I felt the same love when you guys were born as when my own kids were born. And again, it's amazing how a new chamber of your heart opens up that's filled with love. And so to my wife, who I love dearly, to all my kids, to my grandkids, to my son-in-laws, to those of you who watch the channel, to those of you who had a father, which is all of you, to those of you who are a father, I share a couple of my stories and things that I've learned about love, patience, understanding, anger, bettering yourself, paying attention to the people around you, because they'll give you signals of maybe what's wrong with you. I know they have for me. But then being humble enough to take that and turn it around and become better. That's my challenge to each one of you today. And I just want to say happy Father's Day. It's like 104 or something. I'm in the shade on my porch with this Diet Coke. Coke Zero's almost gone. I got to get inside. I had to go check on the smoked ribs. Smells amazing out here. I wish you could all smell what I'm smelling, because I'm smoking some ribs in the backyard. So anyway, on this joyous occasion of Father's Day, happy Father's Day to everybody. But my family and my children have taught me great many lessons throughout my life, and hopefully they still will for many, many, many years to come as I live a nice, long, healthy life. And we normally don't do story time with Dude on Sundays, but I think there was nothing really better fitting than to talk about my kids, some of my challenges, and some of the things we've done to correct those things. All fits along with Dude's World and transformation and starting over at 53. And so that's my story time with Dude. Hope you learned something. We're doing it daily for those of you who are new here. I share my thoughts. I share my experiences. We're losing 110 pounds. We're hitting our goals. We're doing it together. We're building a community of people who are like-minded, who want to make positive change in their life. We're spreading that joy and positivity to as many people as we can. So I appreciate you being here. Thanks for sticking around. If you made it this far, give it a thumbs up, like the video. And if you're new, give us a follow. And we're doing it every single day. And we've added smoked meat now to the mix. So we'll see you tomorrow. Dude, out.